Thanks for joining us on About Alberta Tech, which is focused on introducing Alberta tech companies to Albertans. Our goal is to share the innovation and diversity that exists in this province in quick bites. My name is Lenora Thomas, and today I'm joined by Amit Anand, founder of enRoute. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
So let's get started with some background on you. How did you get into tech?
So that's been a pretty interesting story, how personally I got into tech, because I was never into tech 20 years ago or 22 years ago when I came to Edmonton. I landed in Edmonton in 98, actually, to do specialization in sports medicine. I had no tech background since then, at that point in time. So apparently, one wise man in Edmonton who runs a big tech company right now as well advised me, why don't you try information technology? At that time, it was picking up, and I said, sure, why not? So I went to NAIT, attended the first course called Problem Solving and Logic, and I fell in love with it. I said, okay, this is something where I have to use my brain. You know, there's 100 solutions to one problem, but which one is more efficient and effective and, aligned with business? So that's fantastic. So that's how I started my journey in the tech space. But I always wanted to, coming from a small and medium family-owned business, I always wanted to run my own business. So that was in my future roadmap. I always do my 2 to 3 year roadmap, like where I want to be, and then plan my path backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went to NAIT. I did my 2 years of diploma, joined Alberta government, federal government, and then did paid my dues, learned the ropes and all of that stuff. Fast forward 10 years. So I started my own IT consulting company. And then the whole purpose of my IT consulting was to build enough capital to bootstrap my product-based company. So I had that plan in mind. So then I built up my IT consulting company from 0 to 33 people at the peak time working for me, doing 7 figures revenue. And then I said, okay, now is the right time. I built enough capital to do a startup. But what startup? Gotta be purposeful. And what I heard stories from people, it typically comes out from your own personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. So in 2016, when my children started to go to school, and especially my younger one, who's pretty notorious, and he has a mind of his own, running 1,000 miles an hour. So one day, he decided to get off from the school bus and go to his aunt's place without informing us. And we kept looking, it's like, where did he go? And we got really, really worried and panicked. But eventually we found out that, okay, he went to the aunt's place, and okay, of course he got, some beating from us, not literal beating, but, the lectures and whatnot. And then the week after happened with my friends' kids as well. So we're like, okay, if this is common, what is this industry doing about it? So we started doing a little bit more research. We contacted the school, contacted the bus operators, and what we found out, it's actually a pretty common problem. And as we started digging into it, I bet you even if you do Google right now, you will find a recent story, as latest as maybe a month or 2 months ago when the school buses were running. So it's a pretty common problem across Canada. And of course, that's we had a light bulb moment. Okay, we got to do something about it. What technology solution we could implement? But before we jumped into it, we did further validation, because are there any existing technologies that all these school administrators are employing, whether it be a bus operator or the school boards or school? And is it a global problem? Because nowadays, when you think about startup, you cannot just think locally, you got to think at a global scale. So we did a little bit of international market research, and in fact, it is a global. Wherever there's a school bus, where there are kids going on a school bus, you have this problem basically. Either they're falling asleep because it's a long bus ride, they're slipping under the seat, and it's not a driver's fault as well. They've been given the tools to the best they can operate, but still things happen. So once we did all this validation, that's where we saw a little golden opportunity to really disrupt this whole school transportation market. And that's where we began our journey. It took us quite a bit of research and development because we wanted to build something that is more automated, works automatically without child intervention and so on and so forth. So at that time, we were working with Qualcomm using their sensors and whatnot, building our own IoT platform to make it work completely, how we can automatically monitor children's presence on the school bus and so on and so forth. So we did that. We got some good traction. And what we realized that it's not easy nut to crack because sure, we're coming from a technology space, but this is a completely different verticals where people work in a very tight network and so on and so forth. And for them to make believe into a technology that it works, it does work completely automatically. So we were having some challenges to make presence in Canada and Edmonton. So we went overseas. We went to India in 2018. We were invited by the Canadian government to participate into the IoT trade mission. So we went to India in 2018. And then what happened was we started companies coming to us. They wanted to leverage our platform for different use cases. So we're like, okay, wait a sec here, right? You know, what did we build here, right? So we were focusing on student transportation vertical, and all these companies are coming to us. Oh, I want to use your platform for XYZ purposes. So it was again a different light bulb moment, more at a macro level. So then what happened was we came back and we changed our company's, I guess, a tagline from a student transportation company to an Internet of Things company. That, okay, we have built this platform. So if you have a challenge, you can leverage our platform to solve those within your industry. So in 2018, I visited actually 13 cities in 21 days. So I met with smart city managers. India have a huge smart city project implementation throughout the country. So we were connected with one municipality that were having issue to monitor their garbage workers. Like, that's an interesting problem. Like, why do you want to monitor your garbage workers? So apparently they're spending, $150 billion in this initiative to make sure their cities are kept clean. Then the contracts are outsourced, but still a lot of citizens are complaining, or majority, that their garbage is not getting collected. However, these garbage collection companies are getting paid humongously by the municipalities, but there is no accountability, transparency, and all that stuff. So we're like, yeah, we could solve that problem in no time. So fast forward, so we did that, a small pilot project. We're actually in the process right now as we speak to do the pilot project for 2,500 houses, and then eventually for the entire citywide implementation, which is over 250,000 houses. And there are over 200 cities that would need this type of solution. So again, so how we pivoted from a student transportation company to actually an IoT company. So now, but let's take a step back. In 2019, we were, and this is very interesting. These are all good things happening to the company. So then in 2019, we were contacted by one of the largest security company in the world, and their headquarters, one of the headquarters are in Toronto. And they said, Amit, we're having these challenges. We want to monitor our lone workers. We want to monitor seniors, but we also want to provide better incident management solutions, so such as fall detection, their anomaly detection, and so on and so forth. So we took upon the challenge. We brought in some artificial intelligence experts, and we put our IoT heads and AI heads together, and we built this device that can perform all of those functionalities with the embedded artificial intelligence. And for that very purpose, we submitted our paper to NASA iTech. That in February, they shortlisted us as one of the top 10 companies to come to NASA and pitch our AI framework to NASA. So just before COVID hit in February 2020, we were actually pitching it to NASA in Tampa. So
wow.
yeah, And then, so we were about to go commercial with the company, but then COVID hit, so it kind of pushed back a bit. But we
Yeah.
built that technology. So we really specialize now in artificial intelligence embedded into the hardwares or the devices, smart devices, with our IoT platform that could provide better monitoring, tracking solutions for a variety of use cases. But we're focusing on four major aspects: the student transportation, where we started our journey; the smart cities; these what we call it is an intelligent safety wearable; and fleet management. So those are the things as a company we're focusing on. We got good pilots going on. We just signed a major a partnership deal with a company out of US that actually has about 80% of the market share in North America in the student transportation space. So as a matter of fact, after our call, I have a call with him because now they are so they became our sales distribution channel in the student transportation business, which is a blessing in disguise. So we just onboarded a couple clients out of Ontario, but they're doing the sales. We're providing the technology, so which works brilliantly for us. So that's kind of
a great partnership.
Yeah. So that's kind of like in a nutshell, where we started and where we're at right now.
That's an interesting journey, especially because you had this key idea, but you were willing to do that pivot, which startups have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to survive. Like it's crazy, especially with 2020, right? The reason we're able to survive because now we are lending our skill sets to other companies, to bring in the cash flow, keep the employees employed. We haven't had to lay off any employees. In fact, we actually hired 2 more employees, and then I'm onboarding 1 more today. And we also have a team in India. So we got about 10 people in India. We have about 5 people here. So we're actually onboarding more people. As a matter of fact, we got some government funding to help us out as well. So it's all good. Like no complaints.
That is amazing. And so I have to ask, so you go through all of this and you start with the school transportation and tracking kids. You're actually implementing that though in other places.
Yes. We implemented here in Edmonton. We implemented in India. We're getting a lot of traction from Middle East, from Africa. But the challenge we have right now is, it's all about where do you want to spend your dollars at the end of the day, because going to those places, and of course now travel is restricted, but it costs money. You have to establish partnerships and whatnot. So, but now we got this huge partnership with this company, so we want to focus in North America, and we have partnerships in Asia anyway, so we want to focus on those two, and especially with the smart cities, the garbage monitoring. Like we're looking at massive scaling in that sector. So our focus will be on those 2 verticals for the next, I would say, 12 to 18 months.
Wow, that is awesome. Okay, so one of the questions that I have to ask, is this is about Alberta Tech, is why Alberta? What made you start your company here?
So as I mentioned, 22 years ago, I landed in Edmonton, September 25th, 1998, 7:05 p.m. Cannot forget that day. And since then, I've been in Edmonton. I have not moved out. A lot of people ask me, Amit, you're in tech. Why don't you move out to Toronto, Montreal, even US? And I have to say, Edmonton has been, great to me, or greater to me, in all aspects. The perfect city for anybody come in, leave their own country, and to understand the foreign culture. I come from a big city, like I come from New Delhi, where you have 15, 17 million people. Absolutely. Like being in the sports stream in my life, I have traveled a lot. I've seen the world a lot. It's just when I landed Edmonton, I was amazed, how people were willing to help, to share, to tell you all. Like there are no secrets. It's all transparent, and guide you the right path. And I did my education here. I found my wife here. Her family's there. My kids go to school here. Edmonton provided me every support that I needed to be successful. So why leave Edmonton? Why leave Alberta? And, we have the same way of, giving back, to Edmonton wherever we can as a company or me as an individual. I teach at NAIT as well. Every now and then, whenever I get a chance, I sit on a couple of the advisory board. I have no intentions to leave Edmonton or Alberta. If I ever move, I may move to Calgary, it's just closer to the mountains. But that's about it. So, I came alone by myself, and now I have a family of over 25 people right here in Edmonton. They all landed right here. So I have no reason to move out of Edmonton.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and this is where we do see, of course, people ask me, why don't you move out of Alberta? You will get greater success, from a tech perspective. Absolutely. I could see that, if what I'm doing, if I go to Silicon Valley or Toronto and want to raise money, I think I could raise money much quickly and, much more greater amount. Definitely, we are facing those challenges, but it doesn't mean that I leave my roots and go out and do the stuff. Yeah, I may go out and do those activities, but then come back to Edmonton.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. And so what else do you think our community should know about you and your organization?
So what the community should know about is, we're hidden, like it's not too many people know what, again, I like to speak more from a broad perspective. I know other companies, where our company is located in the Advanced Technology Center. I've noticed companies that are in that center does not get that much recognition and credibility in amount of work they're doing. I know a few companies that are doing, over $1 million of revenue already, but not just like Jobber, not many Albertans knows about that company.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing pilot, as a company, we're doing pilot with the city of Edmonton, but it take us so long time to get that pilot. So what community should know that they're really, really good companies, really, that have proven technology that needs opportunities within their own cities to be able to demonstrate, because that's one of the questions when we go outside of our city. The first question that's been asked, okay, who's buying your technology in your own city? And we have no answer to it, honestly speaking. So it creates that much of a barrier to sell our technology to the other cities or the companies that are not from your city. So that's something from a community perspective we need to open up. We are trying to work with other senior centers, when all this COVID hit, okay, we need something for contact tracing and all of that stuff. We were willing to provide a technology at no cost to our government, to our community. Hey, use our technology, you want to do contact tracing? We're kind of doing that. When we monitor kids on the school buses, we know how many kids are in the school bus at what point in time. So we wanted to offer that technology, but again, we're a very tiny company from a tiny community, Edmonton. So nobody wanted to take us seriously, I guess, right? Or break into the health sector space, right? Like, there's a lot of senior centers, I'm not going to name names, but I know that are struggling to monitor the traffic. They are struggling to monitor their seniors, their whereabouts. And we're like, we'll give you our technology at no cost. We want to help our community to make sure they are staying safe and stable, but at the same time, it's also creating a win for ourselves to prove our technology so we can sell outside, right?
Yeah.
We had conversations with trade commissioners out of Kazakhstan and Spain and Germany. They want our technology. There's another European consortium happening that they bring a whole bunch of companies together from different parts of the world, and they want to do joint projects. So they are very much interested in our wearable technology to help seniors or seniors with dementias or patients with high risk. I got an email from this lawyer out of Toronto. Somehow he heard about our technology and he's like, Amit, I wished I had your technology that could have saved my mom, because her mom had a stroke Friday afternoon, and no one knew about it until they went to her apartment Saturday afternoon. But they didn't have the technology. But this is where but those are the channels we want our community to open up for companies like ours to start testing a technology, so we can add that credibility, which makes it much more easier to sell our technology to the outside of our own city or to the other jurisdictions. So
that partnership is so key.
Partnership is so key. So from a community perspective, again, if they're looking for solutions based on artificial intelligence and IoT platforms that are citizen centric. Again, we're not. So a lot of people talk about industrial IoT managing, the big assets, the machinery, the rotating equipment. We got lots of companies, and they're doing an awesome job. Excuse me. Our focus is more citizen centric, how we can help citizens in their daily life, whether to monitor, to track, provide extra safety in their own community or otherwise. So that's our company's focuses on. So citizen centric solutions that is based on embedded artificial intelligence and Internet of Things platform. So that's what we do.
That's amazing. Well, I totally understand that having that local partnership and people, whether they be businesses or government that's in your community to help support you makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And that's where it starts, right? So in 2018, was it 2019, I attended the Collision Conference in Toronto. Yeah, it was 2019. And Toronto had this whole smart city initiatives where they were invited companies to come and participate, right? To prove your technology, to demonstrate your technology. Our community kind of lacked those types of initiatives. I think we talk about it, but to take action, it takes too long. So we need to break those, I would say old-fashioned way of doing work. We have to be very nimble. We have to be very fluid. And that's what attracts companies to stay within the community, right? Because they got to start taking risks. If my own community, my own municipality, my own province is not willing to take risks, I can only spend time and invest money for so long, right? I will move out where I'm getting way more acceptance.
Yeah.
So I think that's what our community at large needs to start doing, and where we'll see much greater success.
Makes sense. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm giving all my honest opinion.
I love it.
Yeah, because we have some amazing companies that people don't know about it, because guess what? They're doing $0 business here in Alberta, or some 100%. In Canada, but they're doing millions of dollars of business outside Alberta, outside Canada, because they're getting way more acceptance.
It's so true. That partnership and community involvement and businesses supporting each other is going to be huge as we grow our tech community.
Absolutely. It's all about collaboration and open collaboration. We got to take risks. We got to, create those pathways for companies to succeed.
I agree. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for your time today. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's always good talking about that.